Hello everybody, it's that time of the night again. ZX Spectrum code in time. You're shitting yourself. Hopefully for good reasons. Hope you're all well. Thank you for coming in so early again. Helps me out a great deal, that. As you might see from the title, I've been playing around with the relative sprites. There's a noise outside, oh dear. Maybe it's someone trying to get in. It's getting cold outside. It's raining outside as well. You're in your shed, I take it. Right. You are, yeah. I can understand then, a bit worried. Pretend there's loads of you in there, put on loads of voices. So yeah, we're looking at relative sprites. I've took a detour slightly. What I did was copy my project, so that I'm working on in a copy now. And I've drawn some larger Lister sprites, and I just started animating it. I've run out of time. I've thought of a problem with my technique here, which is where I got to here, correct pattern for going up and down. But I have made the animation and the relative sprites already working, which I'll show you now. Oh. Sort that out first. Yeah, so look at, he's now a big guy. Of course it wouldn't work in our game. We'd need to change every bit of graphics. You like it, yeah? Of course, like I say, this isn't going to work for our actual game project that we were doing before, because I really can't be bothered to change all the graphics. Nice one for the bits, Micro. Thank you very much, my dude. They all add up, man. They're all adding up. It's amazing. I'll be able to get my first withdrawal at the end of this month, so that'll go towards a new computer. I actually went to buy. I found a computer it's in a computer shop, but second hand, and he said 250 quid, and I think that's a bargain. But then when I rang back to confirm it, he didn't ring me back. He said he'd ring back. So I'm hoping tomorrow that I can go and pick that up, and then I'll do some 3D graphics occasionally as well. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great, but it's okay for 250 quid. It's like an i7 5th generation, and then an RX 7 something. So it's not a great graphics card. Yeah, I know what you mean, Specky. I mean, I have been looking at i9s, and I'm just gonna save up and push the boat out. I use the computer a hell of a lot, and I don't like buying like inferior. It's like when you're gonna spend like £1,000, you might as well get the best. 16 kilobytes max. Min, yeah. Yeah, no, don't worry. I know quite a lot about computers, to be fair, when I'm buying. This one's just to tide me over. I mean, for £250, you can't expect a lot. Have you actually looked at like the price of a second-hand 1080 on eBay? Even that's 200 quid. And this has got like a graphics card, decent enough CPU, 16 gig of RAM. You're getting scared again. I got annoyed with myself when I drawn this sprite, because the perspective is slightly wrong. Do you see what I mean by that? Like he's facing the camera too much, and I really can't be bothered to draw it again. It was just for demonstration, really. Let's take a look at how we achieve this. It was very easy, very, very easy. So this is all. I mean, it might not be exactly the same as when you last saw it, because I've been doing some animation stuff, but just in terms of the drawing, here it is, the draw routine. And this is all we had before. Note that I've put little comments here just for anyone who can't figure out what I'm actually doing. That's an anchor sprite. So as you can see, there's actually like 6 different sprites here now. So this is the anchor. We define the anchor, or we, I'm not quite sure what we're doing to it there. It looks like we are writing it into the sprite hardware. That's right, or 16 by 24 actually, if you were going to put X first. But yeah. In fact, no, it's 32 by. It's 32 because there's 16 each cell, so it's 32 by 48. But you can have as many as you want. You could have quite a few there if you wanted. I'm thinking of having an enemy that's like 3 by 3 cells, which would be quite chunky. Because on this list of sprite now, there's a lot of white space as well. You could have filled it up a lot. I could have drawn it to fill the box a lot better. Anyway, this is how simple it is to do the relative. So we've got relative 1, and that is this one here. And let's make this a tiny bit bigger. Yeah. So I'll put my note here, wonder why this is not needed. When I first wrote this code, I was adding one to the slot. It seemed to me like it needed a different slot when I read the documentation. It turns out they actually share a slot, it seems. So you can, out of your 63 sprites on the screen at once, this only counts for 1 still, as far as I can tell. But to get long story short, we're doing this relative, the first one. This is an offset only. So X is now just 1 byte big and Y is just 1 byte big. And we can hard code it in because that never ever changes. It's relative, so it's that plus 16. I mean, it's the anchor plus 16. And then plus 0, of course, for the first one. Here, I've hard coded in. But again, this is relative to the sprite pattern, which happens to be 0. And the same with this one. If you ignore the first 2 bits there, or the highest 2 bits, is 0. But that doesn't matter because we've set bits here. One of these bits we set, I believe it's that one. It tells the hardware that all of these positions or all of these offsets are actually relative to the anchors. So if the anchor happened to start at the sprite number 10, and then I put a 1 here, this will be 11. Okay? And it's perfect because when you want to have more than one, like we're doing now, if I press up, I want to move to the 12th sprite along with the anchor, and it will just automatically draw the ones after that. And the same goes actually for when because there's 2 frames for down, and the down one starts at 6. So if that wasn't relative, you would get a right cock up when you try and change. You'd only change the anchor sprite, So anyway, it's beautiful because they're always relative to the anchor. So you're only worrying about the anchor. So these are all pretty much constant. Or they are constants. Tough question. Relative. Yes, it means they're relative to each other. Yes, it does. To the anchor. So like I say, we've specified an anchor. That's what we've been doing all along. Every sprite we created so far was an anchor sprite. Sidekick comic relief. Relative aunt. Teacher Bob's wife. Six or 7 years. I'd love to build a house even if it took me 7 years. Yeah, so to answer your question, the relative sprite, there are more than one type. There's like a thing called a unified sprite, and I think that's to do with like if you have the sprite that's in the same position as the sprite, but maybe it's a shield that appears or something like that. So that would be a unified, I think, or composite. And I haven't managed to differentiate between them really yet, but how I'm using it is to form this relationship with the anchor. So there's number one done. Relative number two, I've skipped past it. Relative number two is the one there, look, below the anchor. So of course 0x, 16y. The pattern is the only thing changing every time. Notice that that's going up by 1 every time. So that it knows which pattern I want to show in that square. Just keeps going up, and then we're on the last one there. And for animate, I changed it. It used to flip the sprite, and of course that didn't work with the anchored sprites. It looked very strange. That was incorrect. It did work, but it flipped it using the left edge as the point of origin, if you understand. So the flip, it wasn't like left in the same screen space. Yeah, so animation. Instead of doing what we were doing before, which was just, we had this, but we were just calling flip here. Well, now I'm checking which direction we're heading. You can pretty much ignore that right now because I've only done down. So if we're facing down, it checks attribute 3 of the anchor. Again, that's all we care about. I've ANDed it to get the first 2 only, so that if it's not visible, we're not going to set it to be visible here. So I load that into B. So B basically contains that, unless it's not visible, and then that'll be a 0. As it happens, we never make the player not visible at the moment anyway, but that doesn't matter. We want to reuse this code. So then we load it again into A, and this time we just wipe them bits out, so we're only concerned with this bit. And now we found whether it's a 0, it will either be 0 or 6 because we're facing down. Sprite attribute is a 0, and then the other one's 6, and I XOR it. Then I add these 2 back on using add AB. Now the problem that I found just before I came online, I wanted to back all the way back up here. Here I want to check, like, sprite attribute 3 needs to point, or it needs to, like, it has the, okay, sprite attribute 3 looks like that, okay, and these 2 are for visibility and the extended set. So this one's always going to be 1, but this one we really don't want to change. We need to be able to read it and remember it and never change it. Yeah, if we set it to be invisible, we don't want to have another function accidentally setting that to be visible, but we need to change this, and that's pretty simple really. We can just add to this byte with like 10, and then this will easily just change to 10. But the problem I have is if I do that here, it's going to basically ignore what this does, because it's going to always set the pattern to be that. So I think my stupid brain can just think, right, okay, I'm going to have to rewrite animate player, and it's going to have to know that I'm going to set like the base frame here, and then after a certain amount of time, it'll just change. It'll change it. Instead of XORing it, it'll only change it to the second frame. But I've really, part of me's thinking that's there must be a way of doing it with what I've already got. It doesn't help that it's all the way down here in the code. That's right, Micro. Not only will it move with it, but it will also flip and rotate and everything. Think of it as like the parent and then all the others children. If you've ever worked with other like C languages. That's it. In C, I think you put extend, the extend keyword, if I remember right. Or in fact, I think it's just a colon in C++, but I can't remember. It's been years since I've done all that. It would soon come back to me if I got into it, I think. Yeah, it would be a shame to rewrite all this because it works nicely. But this is going to look at player attribute 3, you see, and then it changes it, and I have a constant here for the B version. So if I always set that to be B, to be A before, it's going to always just be B, which is no good. I was just saying I haven't managed to differentiate between the two. I believe I'm doing unified. Oh, no, composite, sorry. But if you look, it doesn't actually really matter. There's not a great deal of difference. The only difference I can see is unified, you cannot set any magnification. Whereas composite, you can magnify the children independently of the anchor by the looks of it. And that's the only difference. There's no other way of seeing any difference as far as I can tell. Yeah, I've read that about 50 bloody times. There's little gaps in that I couldn't understand. Like I had to piece together how to I can't even remember really, but it's not bad. I managed to get enough out of it. There's a bit further to the bottom about relative sprites. Yeah, that's alright. Let's not get hung up on that right now, because I think it's more important to get this animation working. I mean, this is all I know about them so far, is the relative sprites is a way of using an anchor sprite to move all sprites as a unit. And that's the only thing I'm using it for right now. They don't have to be right next to each other like that, you know. I could indeed have a sort of buddy that floats around one cell to the right and above you or something, you know. Or it could be a speech bubble. could be any number of things, but think about this logically though. I almost slipped myself up when I started writing this, but then I realised it's going to constant. If I set it, if I say like, this is what I wanted to do. Check the player's direction. If he's facing up, set pattern to up sprite. Yeah? But that's going to be called every frame. So once we set it, maybe I've got an idea actually. Of course you need to do the push pop when you call. But if I do what I just said, I'll put a P in front of it. Similar, you've basically hit the nail on the head, but you don't actually need to do that, I suppose. This is the way I'm going to do it, which achieves the same thing, I hope. Where do I want to put this though? Set pattern up. Put it right under here, sod it. It needs a real tidy up, this code. I'm probably going to start a fresh project at some point soon, if I'm honest. So P set pattern up. If it's already up, we'll just return. Wait, that can't work actually. Sugar. Yeah, like you say, we'll have to check. Yeah, that's okay. I don't need this, do I? Just when we press up. That's what we need to do. And do I want it a set pattern, or do I just want to say like pressed up? We've got move up already, haven't we? Okay, let's actually have P pressed up. More to do with the sprite patterns. That is the pattern. Attribute 3 is the pattern. Them 6 bits. Plus, if you use the 128 pattern set, you've got to worry about this bit as well. That's exactly what I'm doing, is setting the pattern here. Right, so now, that's how we do it. When we've pressed up, we call that. We'll set the direction to up. But no matter what, we want to call the move up. So we call move up, we check the direction. If it's not already set to up, we can set it to up, and at this point we can also change the frame. So attribute 3. Look, yeah, it is bingo, definitely. But the one problem we've got here now is worrying about that visibility bit. We want to be able to keep that. So unfortunately, this is the only way I can think of doing it, is with all these ands and that again. There's probably a much better way of doing this. What I've done there is just stored those 2 bits from this into B, which I know they're always 1 all the time at the moment, but they could be zeros, and we need to know that. And we know he's going up, so that's one good thing, because up we actually have a constant for. We'll set it to this. That should do it actually. Nice. And I tried to do this earlier. You see where I do add AB? To just add that value to it. What I would rather have, I wrote something else like I think and B, but it didn't work. But I thought it would when I looked at the bitwise, like how it worked on this site. I couldn't see why that didn't work, but I ended up with some experimentation finding that worked better. Right, so now I think we're all good. And then down, all the way down here. I think that's going to be all good. So the 2 values it's going to be when we're facing up are 12 or 18. And this is definitely going to break actually. If you XOR 12 and 18, it seems, yeah, you get 30. So that's no good. So I guess that only worked. The down one only works because it's 0, I think. 0 and 6. Because if you XOR 0 and 6, you get 6. And then if you XOR 6 and 6, you get 0. Yeah, then it doesn't work for up at all, that logic. I want to try and figure out a way of doing it clean like this without writing a load of loop, like a load of different labels. How can I do it mathematically? Let's have a look at the bits. It's either 12 or 18. And there's 6 bits we're dealing with. I'll show you now, Micro. Thank you. So that's 12. And we want XOR 18. Right, so they're the 2 results we want. So I guess, do we just XOR this value? That's how we do it. think it is, you know. It's XOR 30, isn't it? Yes, it is. That should do it. Okay, let's try it out. Missing a link. The link. What I'm trying to do is... Okay, but what I was trying to do... This is the first... Like, these are where the anchors reside in the sprites, yeah? So for this one, I was able to do XOR 6 because I wanted it to be 0 or 6. So it happened to be that I could just use that as the XOR value. But for this one, I want 12 or 18. And it turns out you actually need 30 as the... I think I'm right. Anyway, I haven't seen it working yet, and I'm rubbish with this sort of maths. Okay, it's great. It doesn't go back down because we haven't set that, and also my art program's annoying. It does the wrong pink. So I'm going to change that in the text. EB, look, it should be E3. Probably thousands of them, look. Yeah, I just wanted one or the other. But it works great, look. So let's do down the same way. We've already done most of down. The bit we need to change would be in this move down bit. No, in fact, it would not be like that. It would be here. I'll comment this at some point pretty soon. This is where I love constants, when you've got it right and you can just use the names like that. It's just so nice. I believe that's correct now. Of course, we're not calling that yet. That's done when you put down here. iRes bitmap. Line drawing sounds so difficult if you mean lines that, like, from point A to point B that aren't necessarily straight. Whee, look at that, look. Easy. You can stroll around like a good one. Notice he's got a grin on his face. I didn't want to draw him looking grumpy. Unfortunately, I haven't drawn left or right yet, so there's nothing I can do about this. Nice one, Micro. Thank you very much, dude. Stick with them prime numbers. I'm not complaining at that, for sure. If that even is a prime number. I wouldn't bet on it. Darn it though. I haven't drawn left or right. I've run out of time now. Too slow nowadays at everything. Hang on to me. Legend, man. Thank you very much. So what do you reckon next? We've seen a bit of relative sprites, and they're pretty straightforward, aren't they? Also notice how I've left labels in there. I wasn't doing that before, but I haven't bothered tidying them up. It just makes life loads easier if you just don't tidy them up. Of course, remember to change this as soon as you paste some in, otherwise it will become a bit of a pain. We could go back to the fight scene and do a bit more of that. Of course, my collision boxes is all wrong now. So that's what happened. I remember now. I set it to go over there, didn't I? Oh yeah. I wanted to rewrite the UI code a bit. It's a bit of a boring one. Rotation. That sounds complicated but fun, yeah. Like, you can only rotate by 90 degrees, which I find a bit limiting, but maybe I'm just not being imaginative enough. Because not only, obviously, you can rotate by 90, but you could also change the frame of animation to add to that, couldn't you? Something I'm thinking about exploring soon is having like a thing rotate around you in a circle. Because that would require maths. Like, what you would do, this might be a good one for you, Micro. It's, if you look at the player again, the draw, I mean. So we have our anchor. Imagine if instead of having this sort of six pack like this, we wanted an anchor and then like a buzzy circle thing. Imagine like R type, that floats around you in one of those positions. You'd want to somehow, where the offset is here, you'd want to do some sort of maths to continually go around. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, basically, imagine if you were like the circle in the middle. That's your anchor, and then you want to figure out X. Although I've just realised I'm talking rubbish because I read in the manual X is a positive number only. Sign. Oh, did it say signed? No, I'm pretty sure it said it's unsigned. So it has to be unsigned. Which doesn't make sense, actually. I'm sure that's wrong, because why would you need it to be 250? You're much better to make that signed number, to be honest. I'm going to read that one more time now and make sure I haven't read it wrong. No, imagine it's always in the middle, so you wouldn't need a minus number for the offset and half the time. I'm just going to read whether it's even possible. Wait there. Relative sprites. Relative sprites only have an 8-bit X and Y coordinate. These are signed offsets, so they can be minus. That's good. So, for example, you could demonstrate that now, couldn't you, by putting minus 16 and watch his head split in half. But you'd need mathematics if you wanted to do that every frame and tick him around. That's where it's moved it to. That's good. Minus works perfectly then. I mean, that's a real advanced topic, what I'm asking about there. Don't forget we have got a mull functionality now, though. We can multiply if we need to. I just wonder what happens if you put like... No, that's rubbish. Let's just leave it, it works. Alright. Why didn't I manage to draw the left and right sprites? That would have been awesome. I really need some sprites, even if I start a completely fresh project with some new sprites. Oh well, let's look at the UI then. Wasn't relishing this task. I should have done it last night because I had it completely in my mind how I was going to do it. It needs to redraw this every frame, depending whether it's what turn it's on. It'll draw it the different one, and also it needs to only call this one time. Put that there. Brave the monsters to get some tea and toast. Make sure you don't go out at the dead of midnight or you'll be screwed. I'm one half transitioning. 8 minutes, yeah, just enough time. Yeah, let's tidy it up a little bit. Okay, so it's checking the state to see if it's a fight. I do wonder if that's even necessary now. I think it probably is. Let's try put a return there. There we go. Wait, that's not update. There's way no problem, my man. Get a kettle and toaster in the shed. Got a fridge already. You might as well, man. You're living the dream then. Have you got a little PC? I suppose probably a laptop. You should start streaming from the shed. It could catch on that, like the man shed or something. Live from the shed. I smell toast. Yeah, it's the whole shed burning down because you got a toaster in there. Yeah, you gotta be careful with that. It's better than being in the house with the man cave, though, probably from her perspective. Make your front room into the man cave, and then she'll just beg you to go out to the shed. Make much less mess in the house. Come in the shed and there's like cans of drink everywhere. You can't even get in the door. Right, so this routine now draws the buttons and all the texts. God, I really wish I'd done this last night when I knew what I was doing, when I'd just been working in it. It's tricky now. It's that I don't want to call. I want to change the turn. This is where I've just been working, where I've made the return. We will have an update loop. I wanted to call draw buttons. Let's copy that. It's the easiest way. One day we'll tidy this down and make it more efficient. For example, all this. Alright, so now in update we'll just constantly check what turn it is. What am I doing? Call that. Let's do that. Okay. If I made 2 update loops, what's going on here? Yeah, I have. I don't normally have the update loop under the draw loop. No, wait. I want to keep that, right? And then that one that's all the way down here. There it is. Copy that. Put it up where the other one is. Cool, horrible mess. There we go. Some of this I'm probably messing up, but we'll have to just figure it out. Really wish I'd done it yesterday because I had it in my mind exactly how to do it. Alright, so all that only happens when it's the player's turn. And in here we want to call that update. Finally, right, that's looking a bit more sensible. We also wanted to clear the screen after each turn, but have it redraw everything. So that was the point in why I split this in the first place, wherever it is. Get enemy texts. That's okay. So there's no references to these, but that's good. That's what draws everything. See, if I do it in update, then it's going to do that every frame when it doesn't need to. We could instead just call it every time we actually need to. So I mean, we know at the start of the fight that it's the player's turn, and in fact we should probably set that to be the case. Why did I put a colon there? Gosh, so many names now. Right, draw text. Player's turn. Like I say, we already know. Here we're setting a turn to the enemy. Did we have a clear? Oh, it's CLS layer 2 we're using, wasn't it? Yeah. And that one's be loaded with B. Is it B? D. Is all I need to do is call that draw? Let's have a look. I'd say it's fine just to call that. We're going to have another one of these saying set player's turn, because we haven't actually got that yet. That might work as it is now. It's a bit of a, it was D, yeah, colour to clear with. But there we go. Other than the selector, which is in the wrong place, that's a different problem, isn't it? Because there's a constant telling that where to be. Of course, now I've done that hassle of splitting that into two everywhere, I could just have another constant for the it's just that -1, isn't it? Draw selector. Just check I haven't already done it. Funny how this delete selector seems to be commented out. Let me just check something. Boxes, I didn't see that that message. Look, we should change the facing direction as well when we get in a fight. Well, we need a whole sprite, a different one for the fight, really. Okay, so the deleting is obviously working. That's all I wanted to quickly check. Need the dreads, yeah. I'm really bad at drawing in such a small space of pixels. I'm going to roll smoke quickly. But we're basically looking at a selector now. We want it to disappear and to move over. Let's write it in. Oh yeah, the way it moves and everything. It's all done with these constants. Toll munchies. It is wet. It's bloody horrible here as well. South Devon. Bad comment about someone's heart. Specky not knows you're living the dream. Toast is underrated. Pizza's overrated compared to toast, you know? It's not that much different. I think toast is better. Yeah. The way we've done selector is a right pain. And I think because I'm lazy and this game isn't going to get to the end, let's face it, I'm going to make the selector just vanish when it's the enemy's turn. So you don't get to see what he's pressing. He just does it. And it will probably pop up a word to say attack or something, you know. Or I may even look at colouring the text, like the font. Maybe I can set the palette different, just you know, and then change it back afterwards. I'm not sure. So I think that's the way I'm going to do it. So in other words, again, lazy as heck coding. Where I set it to be the player's turn, I'm just going to call delete selector, and then in the player update, enemy update, which is here, draw buttons. I just won't call the selector draw. So finally, we can actually get to making a tiny bit of AI now, because now it's the enemy's turn, and I cannot do anything now. But the game pretty much works without bugs up to this point now. I mean, yes, there's a bug with all the animation because it's not even halfway finished, you know. But if I walk up, I'm facing up still, you know. Also, if we exit the fight, did you notice it put me back where I'm standing, not where I started the fight? But that's easy to fix, really easy. Just store a value where what was the position, you know. Oh, extremely rough. Oh, do you mean the weather or the game? Both. Toast to toast. They should start National Toast Day. You know, we've got National Everything Else Day. Bugs and monster crashes. Yeah, exactly. We haven't got anything like that. Universal Toast Day. February the 4th. Put it in your calendar. Intergalactic Toast Day. Just look that up. Be funny if that exists. That's like mind blowing odds if I just made that up and it's right. Exactly, micro. And even toasted. Exactly, Specky Nut. That's as it should be. Alright, so what's going to happen when the the enemy's turn happens? This is the really tough part of this game. Let's just make him attack you every time for now. Such long code, isn't it? It's really, really long. Here we go. Here's the cookie. So here's the player version. Is this necessary? I don't think it is. I'm just going to delete it. Nice. Nice and long. What do I need to do? I'm getting a brain lock. In the enemy turn. How would I make the enemy attack then? Let's try and figure this out. Have I already got any sort of mechanism for that? UI attack. That's only for the player though, really, isn't it? Reduce hit strengths and attributes. I don't get what you mean by the rock, paper, scissors. Do you mean actually like code that in, rock, paper, scissors, and do that with the enemy? Is that what you actually mean? Okay, why not? It's a bloody good shout. 3 rounds, best of 3. I get you. Do you know what I was thinking in my head was these are only going to be bosses, right? All these, you see where you've got these enemies stood here. These are actually going to be big bosses blocking rooms. So like the first guy, you'll be able to kill easily, yeah, just without any special items. So you'd have to figure out the game. It's quite linear the way I'm thinking about it. So you'd go and kill him, and he'd be blocking the door where the battery is for your bazookoid. And then the next guy, you know, as long as you'd killed him and earned the XP, you'd be able to go and kill the next guy, yeah. And he'd be blocking where the actual bazookoid is. Then there'd be a guy down here who's an absolute tank. Like he's just going to kill you every single time, unless you have like the one specific item, i.e., maybe the bazookoid that takes like 200 damage off him every turn or something, you know. So it's quite boring and linear. But I can't think of any way of. I suppose I could do the rock paper scissors, sort of add that to it. So it's like kind of like luck, but almost a bit of skill. You feel like there's skill involved, or at least choice, I should say. But you know what? I had grand ideas for this game because I made the computer panel, right, and the stasis booths. Well, imagine if here's a room with a load of computers in, and you can't get in because the enemy's blocking. So you kill the big boss, you get to the computer, and all of a sudden you can set a destination into the computer, Earth, and you start going back to Earth, and then eventually you actually end up on Earth in Fiji with your donut store. You know what I mean? I was honestly thinking that like you could set the navcom, and then you'd have to go to different planets, pick up new items. Obviously, a different planet is just a different tile map, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I do plan things in my head, but I totally don't document the plans at all. They're just in my head, bubbling around. It would need planning to make it into a proper game. Yeah, this is more just testing the mechanics out, isn't it? And that's why I think I do want to start a more simple game. Anyone fancy a curry? Risks all of their asses just to get some poppadoms. I don't know. I'm not sure which direction to go in now. It's, yeah, exactly, Specky. I agree with that. I'm surprised at how quickly we've been able to grasp. Sometimes between us, sometimes I get stuck, and either Emu or Micro helps me out, others as well. So we definitely, I reckon we've made rapid progress. It did. God, when I first tried to draw a sprite without Emu's help, my mind from them docs was just blown. But I kept trying. Totally, Spec. Huge amounts, yeah. Even like screen transitioning and stuff like that. Just closing the tile map down and clearing the screen. Yeah, the inventory. I drew some sprites, but I didn't import them. Let me show them on screen so I've at least got something to show you. So here's Lister. I haven't saved him. I just keep drawing over him and exporting. I've made these inventory items. That's like a bazookoid. The best I could do in the 16s. That's the battery. JMC lager. Leopard beard. That was an orange. The best I could do with the palette. It like imported it down. It was orange before. Even though this has got orange in it. Well, no, it hasn't. Fender. It doesn't take long to import this. You're right. I mean, I'm going to have to export all these separately and import them through UDG'd. I can do that in less than 5 minutes. Let's start doing it now. Solid. I've got the hang of UDG'd quite well now. I know how it works. I don't particularly love drawing in it because it's the fixed sized window. I'm not used to that. But I love it as a middle ground. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm just going through the task of exporting these. Wait there, new folder. Terrible guitar, but honestly, you try drawing it in 16 by 16 and you'll struggle. By the way, I can't read any messages while I'm doing this. Can't see them. But yeah, feel free, guys. If if you get time, draw a few sprites, send them over to me. And they don't have to be about this. They could be about any game you've got a plan for, and I could try and do it. I did have a whole plan for this level in my head. It was going to have that computer room blocked off so you could navigate away from the level. That would be the end of the level. You'd navigate down to a planet by going into the computer screen. I should have drawn a banana and just called it an aardvark in the inventory. I'll call it orange on here so at least I know what it is. Alright. So what was that called? The items. Vending chocolate. Do need some vending. The vending machines are funny as in that. Yeah. Oh god, I've just noticed all the backgrounds are not right. I don't care. Well, maybe I can fiddle with them and get them working. Oh wait, it doesn't add them. Yeah, it's only a test, exactly. I think what you have to do is you have to add one here and go into it, then import the next one. Press import. Yeah. That's the key to Starbug. Yeah, because I exported them with transparency. You meant to do magenta in the background, of course. One, two, three, four, five, six. That's one excellent thing about this tool is the palette is just perfect, isn't it? This will definitely come out as transparent now. Is it? Tell you what, it's a decent app though when you get used to it. I think when you first get on it, it's not that intuitive. Although it has improved a lot when I first got it, but for me, I've just got used to it. You know, I can't really use much else. You want to check the pencil hardness and stuff like that, which is up there. Put that to 1 and make sure it's on the square pixel. Then in your grid, there's something in the settings where you can change it to permanently set the grid settings. So you probably want to do that somewhere around here. I've been having it on 8, but I get tempted to put it to 1. I keep flipping between the two. Favorite screwdriver. It definitely is mine, yeah. So we've got a sprite sheet of items here. That's okay, look. There's the preview. Okie dokie. So back in our coding window. Of course, I'll definitely want to drop them sprites in first because I've just put them on the clipboard. Put a bit of a space. Yeah, I was using Emult's tool in between because obviously I love having them just like this. GIMP won't export this like that. I'll just put items like that for now. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I'm not quite sure whether it's better to have like we're soon going to run out of sprites is what I'm trying to say. You can only upload a set number. So even though there's slots, like we're using 6 per slot on the player. Anyway, I just added another 6, didn't I? What's that playlist there? Is that explosions? Let's have a look.
You can find a link to this animated tutorial below.
I mean, we could easily do that. It's just a case of drawing them sprites in there. That looks cool though, doesn't it? Is that on the next? I like it because we could do zoom like that. There's nothing there that we haven't already done, to be honest. That's great for drawing though, look at that, yeah. Very cool. Is he using D-Paint? Can be 512 colours. Don't even need 512 really. Because I noticed we're actually using 4-bit. Even though for some reason I'm only getting up to 64 slots. Where am I? Got too many windows open again. Okay. So yeah, what I was saying was we might want to figure out a way of having more than one bank of sprites and actually flipping between them somehow. I'm not sure if that's possible and how to do it. But right now we're just looking at I think it's 24. No. Yeah. 4 colours over 600 cells. The only bit I saw there that from the bit I skimmed through that I didn't already know was the how to draw it bit. The coding looks quite straightforward, doesn't it? It's just like what we've done with the player where he moves left and right. You know, where his legs move and that. Anyway, so we want to be able to press I and go into the inventory, don't we? As you can see here, we can do we can treat it similar to going into a fight, but much more simple. Start fight, so it changes the screen. Yeah. You may as well do it in here. Like I mentioned before last video, I'm going to change tiled world. Next time I make this code, it's going to be called level manager or screens manager. So we still want to clear the view. We don't want to draw the tiled view for fights. We will want a tiled map. Similar to how we did the fight, we want to just use some of the tiles to draw like a sort of layout of the screen, you know, so it's not just a blank screen. Alright. So it will start inventory and it will actually tell the state that it's now in the inventory state, so we can handle the rest of it from anywhere else. As update. right here. We only want this to happen when we're in the level. We don't want to be able to press I during a fight and go into the inventory. There's an item button for that, and it will be slightly different. It'll only show you like fighting items. I really need to go on a drawing session though for tomorrow because I want to start a more simple game and get a game that I can finish quite quickly. I just reckon it'll get more people involved coming to see the stream if it's more of a complete game. This one I spend a lot of time on theory doing with this game. In my head, thinking about what to do. Next I'm thinking, yeah, something really good, but something that won't take forever to make. But I think we can have some tiled levels, like maybe a platformer is on the cards. The thing is, I don't think I'll be able to make a platformer as good as even like Mario Brothers or anything like that. I think it would be probably end up pretty crap, but we can always try. Yeah, we can, man. I will. I'll be jumping on Discord tomorrow, I expect, because I've got my day off. I had to go out down to town earlier. It took hours, but I keep neglecting it because it's the first thing I neglect when I'm feeling a bit tired out. I forgot what we're doing here. Oh yeah, it was going to be if we pressed I, wasn't it? Oh, we do have an I. How good. You could probably just call start inventory, which is in the other file. I think that'll be adequate. It's going to change the level, change the state, so none of this will get called again. It's going to leave the player on the screen, which is a bit annoying. Oh, I haven't made this yet. Yeah, that's what does my head in with Discord as well. I get too many beeps, even when I mute the servers. Alright, as you can see, I'm in the inventory. Well, I don't know how that's managing to be there. That's interesting. Can you not? Electricity page in Discord, yeah? I need to open it up and have a look in there, but yeah, it just gets on my nerves sometimes if I'm honest. But it is a good app. It's useful. So I want to be able to turn the sprite layer off, don't I? Can't remember where. Well, let's have a look in start fight. That disables the tile map. Unfortunately, I don't think that has anything to do with the sprite layer. Just having a look. So what was it? 6B for that one. Let's quickly check that out. Nah, tile map control register. It's not going to be that. Sprite and layers system register. Hex 15. Enable low res layer. It's enable sprite visibility. Here we go. So it's next reg 15 bit 0. Where's that call to next reg 15 the first time then? Here. So really I'm not sure if I can just set. Let's not bother. Let's just copy that. Cheers, micro. Yeah, so when we reinitialize, I'm hoping this will work, and then to reopen the child world, we put a 1 there again. Whoops, that was the wrong thing. There we go. Okay, so I've already thought of the next problem by doing that, and that's that I was going to use sprites for my what's it called, inventory items. I was thinking before maybe I could use tiles, but it was hard enough fitting the items into 16 by 16, let alone 8 by 8. So this, unfortunately, it works, but it's not actually adequate, and we're not going to use it. We need to set the visibility to only be true if we're in the level. Whoops, what did I just change there? Hopefully nothing. I'm just checking I haven't already written this code before I go and write it. Again, there is a way of doing it by just using the XOR trick and just having like a toggle visibility. But I can't be bothered. Wait, I've done that wrong, haven't I? I want to set bit 7. Yeah, no, that is correct, isn't it? And then this is the same, except instead of set, we want res. Reset. Cool player set not visible. Okay, so now the player should at least vanish. Oh no, that's the wrong one. So thick. Yeah, worked perfectly. So we just need the same thing for the enemies. Slightly more awkward because that's that. Now there is something, yeah, it's very awkward because there's something on here to make sure that it draws check in view. Update level though. That will only happen if we're in level. That's good. I guess, to be honest, it's probably easy enough just to have like an independent routine that just goes through them all and makes sure they're invisible. Okay, so point IX at that. There's our end marker. Oh, I wonder if we can just res IX plus 8, 7. I'm going to have to look that up. Looks like we can, which is brilliant. So we're resetting bit 7 if the data reside in there. Then we want to go to the next. Not start next. Not really needed that label, but hey. I honestly think that'll be adequate. Oh, I keep doing the wrong thing. Perfect. Of course, we need to remember to set them back. I mean, as it happens, the NPCs will automatically do it. Damn, I needed to draw a frame, but that means the sprites needed to be a little bit smaller for the objects, didn't it? Well, now I have to make the frames much bigger. As you guys said, planning is key. Once you really know what you're doing, of course, then you can plan. If you don't know what you're doing, you can't plan because you don't know what lies ahead of you. That's a problem. Nice, nice, well done. So that works perfect, and this is how we're handling the inventory. Of course, I haven't made collectibles yet, so that you can actually walk up to them. They're very similar to NPCs, but I don't think I'll be doing that this evening. But we do actually have 1, 2, 3, a key and a banana already in our inventory. Look. I think where I've got UI, this is going to be changed to fight, and then I'm going to have something similar to this for the inventory. We'll actually call it inventory. It's a banana. It's a small off-duty traffic warden. Norwegian. I wonder if I could get away with using the Red Dwarf theme tune as one of my intros. Or just rip the entire intro of Red Dwarf. Got it. Right, so this one's going to be called Show Inventory Items. Get with 10 seconds. You know I always push it to more than that though. It's just tough luck. I'm going to definitely make my own in Sid. I'm very soon I'm going to do that video. I'm looking forward to it. Like small session of a few days worth of Sid tracker. I'd say if we'd done 3 streams, we'd have a pretty goddamn good tune by the end of that. Alright, so show inventory items is gonna it's gonna look at this byte, compare the bit, and if the bit's set, it's gonna show an item. Simple as that. We've got an origin here. And then we'll have in fact let's have 16. And then have slot padding. 4. So that's where our first item will be, and that would be the Largo if we had it. Of course, we could go through and sort it until we find one we've got, so that this would be, in a sorted, you'd always see the first block would always be filled. But this is more like the Legend of Zelda, if you've ever played that, where everything has its home in the inventory, and you either have it or you don't. Bit more basic than your average inventory nowadays, but it's a good start. Oops. Better push pop all the time. Alrighty. Motorcycle game? No, I don't think we did, because I would have got hyped for that. What are you thinking, like Exciter Bike style, or something different? I tried to make Exciter Bike once, and I got very stuck, but it'd be fun to try. Oh, we didn't have a Poppadom anymore, did we? It was something else. I should probably do them in order of how I've put the sprites in. So the first one's a battery. Next one is a bazooka. Then guitar. Key. Now we do have lager. I just realised, I mean, it's called an orange in the Sprite, and there's no like text name for it, so there's no way of doing this joke. It could be an orange. Sorry, it could be a banana when you pick it up, but when it's in your inventory, it turns into an orange. Right, so that's actually all of them now. So we've only got 6 out of possible 8 items. Now, how's the best to do this? It's already initialized the sprite when we initialize all the sprites at the start, as long as that constant was changed, which I think I did change. I'm trying to see the draw code because I may as well just copy paste it. Here it is. Slot. I believe the enemies I started from the low slots, and then the player I started from the high. Well, it just so happens the player starts from 57. If we start from 50, we've got 7 items, haven't we? We've only got 6, so that's going to be all good for now. And we don't need to worry about the high byte. It's doubtful we need to fill that bit of the screen with our inventory. Low and high. What bit of low and high, sorry? The sprite drawing. Do you see here, with the player, this attribute 2. So if you look at my notes on the sprites, attribute 2 has the palette, the mirrors, rotate, and then the high byte, most significant bit of X. So that's your first 8 bits of X. Then you have a 9th bit, and obviously that allows you to have a higher number in the position. Yeah, that is in attribute 2. So attribute 0 is your first lot of X bits. When you do number 2, you need to worry about it, and that's why I take the high byte from PX and I OR that in with attribute 2. Yeah, yeah. So you can go up to 320 on this particular screen. And I think there is a bit beyond the screen to move in and out of as well. I think you can have it up to a massive number. Yeah, it's pretty simple when you get the hang of it. But we don't need to worry about it for the inventory. For attribute 2, we can just have 0. Attribute 3 is the pattern ID, the visibility. Extended, we're not going to need, so the pattern ID, annoyingly I can't use the constant, can I? Because, well, I could just do 128 plus. That should work. It's sunny. And then attribute 4, because I haven't set this E with these ones, you don't need attribute 4. So let's go back into the player and let's just set his inventory to contain batteries there now. Okay, I think that's right. I do sometimes love the rain. I love it when I'm stuck inside coding and there's rain just beating down. You just think, yes, I'm in the right place. Yeah, that's wrong. That should just be A. We're just using an 8-bit number. Metal roof, I bet it sounds awesome. Right, so in theory, our guy has now a battery. Let's see if it draws the battery. We have to go into tiled world, start inventory. Oh, I have introduced an error. Ah, it's the same mistake I make every single time. There we go. Oh, no, still errors. Ah, I didn't make all these routines. Good. Well, that sounds annoying, Specky. That could cost you your business if you lose all your photos at the wrong time, isn't it? Surely. Okay, well, it didn't show any items. Wonder why not. Perhaps that needs to get drawn every frame. No, I don't think that's the case, actually. Losing company gold. I wouldn't mind losing company gold and losing it at my house. Hmm. I understand, yeah. What a nightmare. That's what I mean. Surely that's cost you a big amount. Because you can't capture that again, can you? You know, once it's done, it's done. If you're getting paid to literally capture it. Why did that not show up then? Ah, of course. It needs to be NZ. It gives you the opposite in there. Yeah, can you imagine that? Oh my god. I'd run away, I think. You'd never see me again. But hey, look at that. So unfortunately, we've got a black background, and I don't like that because my sprites like rely on the contrast of a different coloured background. But let's change the offset. So where would we like the slots to begin? Probably about the third one along and the sixth down. Oh yeah, I bet it's right ball ache nowadays. People expect to have the perfect everything. Ah, it's in pixels. There we go. Looking smart. Of course, we'll have text here and stuff. Maybe we will have text. We should have text next to everything, shouldn't we? Yeah, yeah. Can't complain at that. Really? Crazy woman. Did you charge her extra to add the T-Rex? You told her no, it's not classy enough. I mean, surely it's up to them, innit, really, I guess. It's their wedding, but you'd have to charge her extra for that. Yeah, making it look good when you're not using, you're outdoors, so the lighting's all messed up, innit? You can't. It's not like you could set it up correctly. I've seen it in a mag. That's funny, man. Yeah, I bet that does sound pretty scary. I wouldn't want to. That's quite a lot of pressure. I guess if they pay you well enough, it's worth it. But it's almost like a performance act having to go to a wedding and photography it, I reckon. Like they have to. They probably expect you to do certain things and all that. 20K. What did you actually ask him how much it would cost? That's amazing. That's funny that they even responded to you. To be honest, you could probably just get a generic one that looks very much like a Disney princess. That's completely royalty free. Although it's probably a grey area, that, to be honest. I don't have to worry because I've never earned a penny out of doing stuff like that, you know. So I just do it, and what are they going to do if they catch me? Stick to horses, mate. That sounds like a bloody good idea. Have you not thought about football? Is there not a lot of money in that? Someone I know is a photographer of football for the local paper. I don't think he makes a massive amount. They don't give you grief. It's funny. Alright, so let's put all of our inventory items in. Of course, you could have more than one byte for inventory items. Oh, I was expecting to see the other ones. Oh, I know why we didn't. Because I haven't done this yet. Uh, didn't I call it slot whip? Yeah, there it is. Let's actually put that the other way around. Winnipeg Winter Event. That's funny in the 80s because I don't. people didn't really care about copyright so much back then, did they? Especially with computer games, I know that. I suppose Disney bloody did. Now I need to do plus, but of course it's not +1. It's plus quite a bloody few, isn't it? It's 256. No, what am I doing? Alright, so now we should see 2 of the items. We do, but we still see that same pattern, which is wrong. Ah, that is why. It is just 1. That was me being stupid. We don't need that. Well, hey, there we go. The battery's bigger than the bazookoid, but that's okay. Let's just start little by little. We're doing it. The reason I wrote it that way around was so I can do ×2 here. Whoa, thank you, Micro. Very nice of you, mate. Well, hey, we're loading up that inventory. Oh, I didn't do the padding. Oh, you need another padding at the end, don't you? Hmm. Hmm. Yo, cheers, Specky Nut. One more. Never to be outdone. That's brilliant. Thank you, guys. That's good of you. Cheers. Okay, it's just the padding that's wrong. Whoa, cheers, Mike. Started a bidding war here. Legend. Nice one, guys. Think about this logically. How can I do the padding? The only way I can think about it is manually. Like the first one only needs 1 padding, but the rest of them need 2. If I remember right, it might have been Pasmo, but it didn't like it if you had multiple brackets like this. We'll soon find out, I guess. Oh, it looks pretty good actually. Okay. So yeah, they've got fixed slots. It's Legend of Zelda style. The good thing about this is you could have it sort of grayed out before you get it. You know, if you wanted to, you could have a grayed out version. to let them know that's what goes in that slot. Is that padding right? I think it is. It's just the way the sprite looks. Can't see it would need 3 padding. It does, doesn't it? It saves extra code and it also lets the player know that, like, it gives them something to aim for, doesn't it? I don't think I did that properly. Oh yes I did. I'm not quite sure that padding's working correctly or whether it's... I need a frame, unfortunately. I need to redraw all them sprites and leave a little room for a frame to go around the edge. In fact, let's just draw a frame. Oh, I wonder... It'll probably just draw straight over that sprite. No, it won't, because I've overlapped sprites before. If I draw a 16 by 16 frame now and just draw it over top, the frame will just overlap the edge of the sprite, which would be alright. It won't look that bad. Excellent. You don't even need to because it's got the sprite hardware. It does it all for you. What we'd have to do is make sure it has a later slot. So we'll certainly do that before the video ends. I've got an idea of how to do that right away. Nice. Let's put in the 5th one as well. Yeah, it should look pretty decent. And it'll definitely let us know if the padding's working right or not. I mean, I guess I could just go in on here manually and just change all of the edges. In fact, it wouldn't be that hard, would it, to do that? Isometric, mate, that would test the hell out of me. I actually have no idea of how to do that. Because in Unity, it's really easy because you create a physical camera and you can point it just at a different angle and it goes isometric. And you can even do that with 2D. So there's of course a way to do that in assembly as well, but I don't have a clue. Evil grin, yeah. I mean, Outrun. I'm definitely thinking about Outrun, mate. I've done the track before with Outrun, and I put a car on it. It didn't really have a nice race feel to it, but it was basically a very basic version of Outrun, and that only took me not long at all, following a tutorial. But that was written in C++. But now we've got the multiply. I think we could do it without C++. Do you think I should just draw frames manually over these? Or do what I said and overlap the other one? I'm going to make myself one more smoke while I have a think. I mean, it'd be very quick and easy to do a frame around the edge. Might be a better task as well, like a better demonstration. Whatever's easier. Yeah, I'm debating in my head which is easier. I mean, easier on the brain is this, isn't it? Because I just have to change all these to be something different. Yeah, I'll do an overlay. I'll do it real slow though, because I'm doing something else at the same time. Yeah. So I'm going to clear sprites. That doesn't matter what I'm doing here. Okay, all the sprites are clear. Break time, nice. You know it, mate. Turn life into one long break. I'm not sure if the palette is the same. I don't, these colours might not match up because I'm doing it in a different program. I'm cutting out the GIMP middleman bit. I don't even have a straight line tool in it, so I don't know where it is, but it should be fine. I'm just making sure it stands out against the black background because I don't know if I'll be able to change it. Otherwise, I would have made this maybe even black. But it's really that simple. Oops. Or inventory frame. Symbols. Up here, I'll add one there. Yeah, true that. Sometimes I like that look though, Specky. Some of the games look so cool on the new screens. Of course, I've actually got a CRT and I've got a Nintendo NES that I bought, but I don't get time to play it very often. I haven't even got space to rig it up. Uh, the sprites area is bigger than that, Specky, on this one. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Sometimes I don't mind losing that anti-aliasing. Oh, the old Specky. Anyway, so that's that frame in there, isn't it? And yeah, it looks bang on. Oh yeah, at the top here I was going to put where it is. Border pattern. And I hate using these sometimes because, well, I could actually save myself. I was going to say you have to remember to change things, but I could put that plus 6. And I could even have like how many patterns as a constant, so I'd never need to change this then. At the moment I need to still remember to change it. Just put 30 there instead. So yeah, over the top of all of them we want, it'll need its own slot for each one. That's the only annoying thing. So let's start these from 40 instead. Okay. So it's going to be very simple to do this, as long as this is E3, which it is. We know that's transparent. We demonstrated that by when we had E9 in the wrong one, and it showed the pink, and then we got rid of it. So I mean, the most simple way I can think of is just to do it in these functions here, and it's simply a case of copying that. To make life simple, we'll just change that number to that. So I've wasted a couple of slots there, but it's only when we're in the inventory anyway, because we don't draw the other sprites, you see. So the slots, we could have used the same ones as the player if we wanted. And then that is whatever it was called, border pattern. Let's copy it from each one, it's easier. Left a bit of a gap. So that's just always border pattern. Hang on, I've got to move that text box back. I can't see any messages. Oh, good, you haven't sent them. Square for each, yeah. Basically, an overlay of a board, of a frame, a 16 by 16 frame. It's 1 pixel wide. And of course, you could turn that off and on. Like, we could just have a bool so that we set true or false, or we could have any other comparison. And then we could only turn that on when you're selecting it or something, or we could change the color, you know, show a different border, a thicker border for one that you're hovering over or something. Yeah, I've got padding, which that's why I'm making this, so we can adjust that. But I've already put in padding. Let's see what it looks like when we've done it. Just a couple more to do. That's it. That's what I was thinking. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to make it so that, you know, like I was saying, how they're in the Zelda order right now. It wouldn't be that hard to make it so it just fills the box with the first one it finds. But this is easier. Yeah, it's very true. Can't just have an empty space there. It doesn't really induce the guy to play it, does it? Alright, we're looking good. It's very simple making these little changes. This is what I actually love about assembly. It's actually more simple. Maybe there is less scope, you know, to do really advanced stuff, but unless you're a mega brain. But the simple stuff is actually more simple in a way, I think. I hope I didn't copy a return in one of them. Wasn't really paying too much attention. So no, it don't work. Okay. I believe we're going to be all good with that. And there we go. The padding's not working correctly though, as we can see. I can't figure out why you would need more than 2 padding. I had the width 3 times for the third, and then 2 padding. So the third one draws fine, it's when the fourth one comes out. It is pretty cool, thank you man. Practice does make perfect as well, you're definitely right. I need to repeat myself all the time when I'm coding so that otherwise it doesn't sink in. So there's the third one. Well, I guess it is the padding, just needs to be the same as the one here, you know. Let's just try that. Oh, it does make sense as well now to me, that. Because we're moving along from the start. It makes perfect sense now when I think about it. We're adding all the previous paddings in there as well, aren't we? There we go. Looking sweet. I mean, there's no really reason stopping us having that down the bottom of the screen all the time, but it is a bit of a waste of all them sprites. We're only able to have 64 at a time at the moment. So it's not really worth wasting 12 for that. Whoa, thank you, Specky Nut. An absolute gent. That's really good of you, man. I don't know what to do next. I mean, next I'm thinking is to make a bigger inventory. We need like quite a lot, don't we? I mean, sticking with the hard coding, we could just have that, couldn't we? Do we even need... Yeah, let's call it row 1, why not? Collect them to populate. Oh, it make collectibles. Okay, but this might be a case that I don't get all the way through in one video because I'm getting nearer to the end. But we can very easily do that. I'll just get this compiling because I've just changed that name and I want to see all the places that it causes the error. At the moment, I'm happy hard coding them with the position like this because I do want to keep it simple. So I'm not going to make them populate the first square. What I will do at a later date is draw a grayed out version of these, so when you open it and you haven't got the item, you'll see the item that's meant to go in there. But that's another day. But it's going to fail to compile. Oh no, it didn't. It worked. Okay, great. So that'll do. We've got row 1, and we can have pretty much as many rows as we want, can't we now? What did you just suggest? Oh yeah, make a visual collectible item. Well, that's amazingly similar to NPC. So similar, in fact, that I'd probably copy the whole thing. Although if I do just write it from scratch, it may help people learn how it's working, and also I may make an improvement on it. So I think I'll split it so I've got it there to look at. And let's just close down all the other ones. We haven't got any sprites though. Okay, I suppose we could just reuse them sprites for now, couldn't we? Same sprite. I think I did a lot of this without putting it on there live when I changed it into an array. Before, we just had one of these with almost the same data, but just once. But yeah, oh god, what have I done? Let's make a new one called collectibles again. Ah, there's already one called that. So it doesn't need any of them constants. Other than the data length. Which, to be honest, we don't know yet, because it's not going to be exactly the same as what we've got down there. But it's going to be very similar. It's so similar, I am going to copy that note in. So we want that, we want that, we want that, we want that, and that, and that, and that. Don't need that. I'm pretty sure we don't use is showing either, but keep it there for now. Definitely don't need any of that. Alright, so that's what we need. Oh, yeah, 4 and 5. Yeah, there we go. So they're words. Once collected, it vanishes. Yep, that's correct. That's basically what is showing is for. It should be like is alive. Let's put is alive. That's what I've always called it since the day I started programming. So I should stick with it. So we've got a data length of 10. And obviously collectibles are just items that are, but when they're in the game world. Items are in your inventory. And as you can see, I've done it after some deliberation. I found out that you could do that. I don't know if deliberation was the right word there. After some experimentation. So what I've just done there is defined world X as 0, world Y as 0. Both 2 and 3, which is the X, L and H, as zeros. Same with the Y twice. So 1, 2, 3, 4 so far. No, 5, 6, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The slot is quite important. We don't want them to have to share a slot with something that could be on the screen at the same time as it. So when we make the game, we'd actually have to get clever. We'd look at its world position, and you can see these could actually all share one slot. They'd never be on the screen at the same time. So in fact, we should start doing that. But you have to know that if you're going to put 2 of them on the screen, you have to change that. But the same thing can be said for collectibles. We're not going to put them on the same screen. They're going to be in different areas. So they can all be slot 2. Then attribute 2. Well, I'm going to want my Sprites notes open so I don't have to look online. Here's the important stuff about it. And if we make sure, for now, that... Well, no, we don't need to, because I've already done it with NPCs. But I was going to say, if we make sure that we don't put a collectible near the right side of the screen, we don't even have to worry about this byte here, this bit. It can be 0. I'm going to put it like this, because then I know that that's where attribute 2 and 3 begin, where they're like this. Just helps me when I'm editing it, if I want to. Now, as you can see on this, we've got visibility, extended, and then the pattern ID. On the NPCs, we had the extra attribute. No, that's still the one we want. So I set them all to be 1. So it appears. That's why they're not working though. If you look in the game, they're not even visible now. What the hell? There's one of them. That's because of the slot. I must have been using the slot. But as you can see, that's the pattern it's showing. So what I need to do is hard code, because they're never going to change. So I can just change that to be a pattern. Let's make it an orange right now. However, you write 30 in binary. It'll be a battery. It didn't show up either, that one, did it? God knows why. Change the slot. Legion, yeah. Mate, that's a classic episode. I love that one. Look, it's the frame. We're fighting the frame. I got the wrong number. Oh, I can't add up in binary. What number was it? Patterns 24. Okay, I see. I've done it on my calculator. I do need more sprites. Nice one, man. I mean, it's going to get great because if you remember the tile map, I could draw a computer right here, and you could press that computer, press F on it or something, and it could take you to a new screen, the galaxy map, and you choose what planet you want to go to, and then you just get a new tile map with like Mars or whatever, all the rest, Eventually, you get your way to Earth. So there's your battery, look. But at the moment, you'll get a fight with it because it thinks it's an NPC. And like I say, I'm going to change the name NPC to enemies soon when I get round to it. But I'll leave him as a battery. It doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say is we have to hard code some sprites in there. Mate, if you can, you'd be amazing, Micro. If it ever ends up as a finished game, you'll certainly get a credit. Yeah, I was doing 24 in binary. I put 30 in, didn't I? Sorry about that. It's confusing when I mess up like that. But yeah, so basically, you'd hard code your collectibles in the same manner. We can actually put, as you might see with the NPC, we can put the visibility on, and our code later is going to turn it off and on whenever it's on the screen anyway. So we could leave it off if we want, doesn't matter. But I'll show you. We'll put 0 there. So it should be invisible now. That's only how we initialize it. As you can see, it's visible because the code checks it's in the camera's view and then makes it visible. So anyway, we've hard coded this as a battery. Notice that this bit I've left 0 this time because we don't want attribute 4. I could do the same with NPCs, but it would mean we can't zoom them in or do any tricks like that. We might want to, so I'm leaving it. Finally, is alive. Again, we've set it to false here, but I'm going to set these to true. So they start out all alive. I think we had 5, didn't we? Oh, no, 6. So this one's the battery. This one's something else. Forgotten now. Bazookoid. Guitar. Key. Lager. Orange. At the moment they're all set as the battery. So I know that they're in linear order, so the next one is that. And it's going to be that. Then I need to double check before I talk bull crap again. Yeah. And it should be that, I think, but I'll just double check. Oh god. Yeah. I think that's right. Now well positions in 8x8 tiles, and because of the slot there, I want them to all be not on the screen at once. You know, I might just give them all their own slot again quickly, and we can try doing these sort of optimization things later. So yeah, they're a little bit more simple than the whatever you call it. Alright, so as you can see in the NPC, we wrote code here for a single NPC, and then we loop through them all. That's all that does. I don't know, Micro. I know I've got this set to the highest setting on my code. Sets the next to 28, I think, yeah. I think we can do pretty much all the same. Let's just write that now. Probably is worth just copy pasting a lot, to be honest. That's actually identical code. other than a very few small changes to make sure the IX is the right thing. Which I think it already is. Slot 6. X plus 2. Yeah, that's the first bit of that. Perfect. 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 Doesn't have attribute 4. So what does update do? It checks it's in view, animates, and checks for collision. So we do want that. Let's check in view. It's quite in depth. Don't need that. This thing that I'm just pasting in looks quite in depth. One day I should probably write a routine where I can feed in some inputs so that I don't have to write this twice. But as you can see, it's basically collision detection with the camera's viewport rather than the well, normally you check with 2 objects. You just got to think of the camera's viewport as an object. Maybe a macro. I mean, macro is a bit funny because it just copy and pastes what's written there, doesn't it? But I do need to make some small changes. But for example, if I just make HL point at the camera, there might be a way of doing it. I don't really know. I really don't. Because if you think about it, it's just these jumps. If I make them jump relatives, I think that's the key to it. Make them jump relative rather than just jump into this label. And that way, I don't think anything needs to change. But anyway, I'll make it specific for now. So anything with the word NPC, I'm just going to start off by changing that to collectible. And luckily, most of these IXs are right. It's only when we get to here, not 10 anymore. It's 9. 8, I'm not so sure about whether that's right. Attribute 3. Oh, it is attribute 3 on there as well, so it must be. Oh, we don't need attribute 4 though. Delete that. Why did it need to know if it was true? Oh, it is alive, of course. Okay, yeah. And then we're going to need this. I also didn't deal with this yet. So set not showing. Let's call it set not alive. Set dead. Okay, that sounds good. Calculate screen position. Do you know what? This could go into tools. It just works immediately. The only thing is it relies on you having this camera. If you just pulled in our tools folder, you'd have to make sure you had a camera set up. I reckon I could just delete that and still, it's a bit funky because it's calling a routine in NPC, but I'll put a note to that effect here. Alright, so that's that stuff I've just written here. That would work for just one NPC. And how I got around that was I liked it. You just in here write routines with a plural for each one of those 3. And you just do the usual little loop. That's not ix plus 9. We're checking for the end of the array. I forgot to put that in there. Not the plural, we want the singular one. That's the way to get around these labels though. The next thing I need to look at is using jump relative. I've stayed away from it because it used to cause me problems. Oh, this is SJ we're using, by the way. I've just read your message. I don't know what kick is. I've heard of kick assembler, but I don't know much about it. Yeah, if I can use jump relative more, I could probably make more generic routines, I think, because these labels are sometimes all that stops me doing that. So that just goes through everyone and calls init. Change it to update. But you see how simple that is now to deal with arrays of items on bulk, like, you know, as if they are one item. That's it. It doesn't need a return because it gets to that end marker and returns the 255. So now it's as simple as just in game. Here's our init routine. It's called collectibles init. Doesn't really matter where we put it. The way that the next works, the slots are more important than the draw calls. Sometimes the update orders can affect things if you really write your code a bit weird. I believe I've copied and pasted a bit of that in there with the check view. But I believe that, are we calling that? Yes, we are. Just from init though, that's not good enough. We haven't really looked at the update loop, the individual one. In here it checks about what the level is and all that. We'll keep ours nice and simple for now, and we won't do that. But if you look inside the level, it's doing check view, doing some other crap. So finally, I think we're at a position where it will draw them. We need to change the world positions. We don't want them all at 0, 0. I'm not just 100% sure whether it likes zeros, so I'm going to try and not put them at 0 for a minute. I think the highest is about, I can't remember the level size now. It's 48 is like the max you can do. And then 60. So that should be in the bottom right of the corner of the key. And then the lager is at 0 on X. Okay, let's see if it shows them. Oh, I've got some errors. Oh, I didn't include collectibles. Every time I make that mistake. And then every time I have a little panic when it doesn't. And it gives me errors until I read the error. I've forgotten what I was doing. Oh yeah, we should be seeing one there. Uh, hmm. Ah, was I calling this from init? Yes, I do. Damn. I was going to say, because you have to call out one time if it's already in the view when the game starts. Let's just change it to 22. And where's the NPCs? I'm changing back. I'm just going to change him back to the player's head as the sprite. Oh, we've got the player's head, but we don't have the battery. Definitely not. I did think that was going to work. Nights, Becky. Thanks for catching up. They all add up, these extra views. Thank you very much for those. Particularly on YouTube. I don't think Twitch really care how many people watch my recorded sessions, but YouTube, you got to get to 4,000 hours of view time. It's flipping huge. I think I've got about 300 so far. Why would this not show up? Is it because of the visibility bit? Perhaps there was a reason that I had it as 1 to start off. Probably have. That's probably what it is. But I'm not sure. I think that check-in view takes care of that, to be honest. Oh, there it is though, yeah. There we go. Not seeing the others though. And now it's gone. So check-in view is not working properly. That definitely gets called. Ah, no, that is correct. Set that. We know that setting the screen position does work, the screen space position, because when it was visible there, it was working fine. It was the fact that it wasn't getting set back to being alive. There's 2 ways to do it. We either set it true in here, or we use, because we're not really using this is alive. We could in the update just check if it's alive, but basically we want to set collectible set alive. We really don't need that true thing, but I'm going to carry on with it in case we do at some point. I think it's still +8. Attribute 3, yeah. I think you can just set IX +8. Now, so that we're not doing that constantly, even when it's already set, yeah, I was thinking that. It's confusing me whether I need it or not. Do you know where it's about to help me now though? If I take away this true here, set it alive. I was going to do that before the position. This sets it to true, but before that we'll check if it's true. and return if it is. So it's a little bonus there that's helped me do that. I don't have to use any extra instructions. Then it only sets it to true one time. It sets the fizzy bit. Guess we can do the same thing in dead. Yeah, because that's happening every frame. So we may as well. Cool. Hopefully that'll work now. The quickest way of testing it is actually to set that to 0. Yeah, there it is. Nice. Can't see the other ones though. It's a bit odd. That's really odd. Ah, damn it. That's very, very odd. So it should be just to the right, the bazookoid. Oh, whoa, is it thinner than I think, the level? What's his position? 42. So it should be just right near him. Bazookoid. That's really odd. Let me have a look at this. Is it definitely not showing up? Definitely not. I reckon it's just not looping through him properly then. First, as a quick test, I'm just going to prove it. I bet you the bazookoid's there now. Yeah. So what's probably happening is, I thought I'd called the wrong one. Yeah, might be one of these jumps. Yeah, no. Update. Ah, yeah. Here we go. Well, hey, I don't think that's in the right place, is it? But maybe it is. They're all over there. Something ain't right about that. No, that's not right at all, is it? It should be. Not sure what the problem is here. Take a look at NPC. The draw bit. It's the same. I mean, yeah, it has its attribute 4, but that's nothing to do with it. Ah, I wonder if the set view was relying on it having. Let's just put attribute 4 in, just to make sure. So we'll need. I need to make a few changes. Add that up by 1. And then here, let's just copy it out of NPC. Oh, what the hell? Also, we'll need to put the 1 in all of them. Okay. So now as attribute 4. All the IX plus 9s need to change into IX plus 10s now. Cheers, man. And then one last thing I was going to do is in the draw routine of this one, I think. IX plus 9, there we go. I think I already added that. Ah, yeah. We'll have to check that. Right, the rest of it I think is all good. I wonder if that was what was doing it. No, look, it still looks to be a bit wrong. So that had nothing to do with it, but at least it seemed, I think we eliminated that from it. Might as well keep it there. Could be worth zooming them, maybe even in the inventory have them double size. It's got to be something to do with that most significant bit, hasn't it? Or it could be that I've got the IX is the wrong way round on one of these numbers. I reckon it's most likely the either check view or the, what's the other one called? I forget. Calculate screen space. It's strange, it works for the NPC. Yeah, it's about time to call it a night, isn't it? It's nice to have it working at the end, but Yeah, that'll be something for tomorrow then, I guess. Could easily be that I start a fresh project. Not quite sure. Obviously, this will still be there in the background to jump back in, but it's getting tricky. It's getting to the point where, yeah, I will find it. I will find it. Knowing me, I'll put like a TV show on. I'll think, oh, I'm bored. Jump in at code while I'm watching it, and it'll just appear to me the problem. Yeah, man. I'm feeling really good today. To be fair, I've had a day off, and it's not always like every day that I feel decent. I feel crap most of the time, but I feel actually really decent at the moment, so that's good. Yeah, thank you very much for your time watching, man, as always, and for the bits. Every viewer, thank you very much. Yeah, it is good, Micro. I'll be here tomorrow for sure. Can't wait to add more. I really am keen to start a new project as well, so don't be surprised if I do, if I manage to draw some new graphics. But yeah, either way, it's going to be great fun. Good night, man. Good night, everyone. See you soon.